I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We are AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Rezero, Season 2, Episode 2. Who is Rem again?
Didn't expect it to happen again.
Why
Thought that was
is
like
Rem?
a one-time thing.
Yeah, I think it hurts very different this time because of the temporary permanence of it, you know? And that sucks, and I feel like the only way to win and go forward is defeat gluttony and greed, and that's a tall ask. I feel like we're gonna need help.
And gluttony was the only one even referenced last episode at the end. Greed wasn't even referenced as being there or being a problem.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess one of the things that I didn't expect going into this is Krush losing her memory as well. And that's another part of me that's just sad. I don't know. I'm just sad right now. And I'm hopeful, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I need some motivation right now. I need some inspiration. Is this episode going to give it to me? Is it going to make me sadder? I don't know. Where's Otto? Give me Otto. Just a full Otto beach episode.
Okay. I mean, I think that is
That's what's going to happen this
that's
episode.
a great thing to want. I don't even have anything to say to follow up the idea of an Auto beach episode.
I don't think anything could. Ready?
Yeah.
Sweet. Day is it? And in what month?
後ろ盾のロズワールにもその時には今度こそ助かったのはお互い様だしってんのになあパトラッシュ
Oh.
スバル想像以上に鱗がいってない大根の気持ちがわかるスバルちゃんレムちゃん固定したからね
Oh, it's so sad.
Wonder what Ram's reaction's gonna be.
俺も
That's good to know.
2 months? I don't know if
How
we have
long
that
is
time.
Ram gonna be out?
Interesting to think about how this dynamic is different because of the fact that Krush doesn't have memories.
Yeah. I imagine when the memories come back, these memories aren't forgotten, right?
Of course, I would agree with that.
Don't leave me, Wilhelm.
It's the obvious choice.
Aww.
またそうやって茶化すレムのことずっと気にしてることを隠す必要なんてないの
大切超大事エミリアタンと同じくらい大事
多く勝手なこと言ってる
正直最悪すぎて死にそう本気の本気だから
スバル
今僕のこと呼びました
いたのお前
いるに決まってるじゃないですか
ロズワールとの直接交渉忘れてねって
人生がかかってるんですから
してお前とは一旦お別れの時間です
I'm just gonna say it. This carriage is too fancy.
見つかるはずよ取り戻すための方法とわがままな理由で動いてるって意味だで似た者同士だと思う
Interesting.
で応戦に参加してる自覚があるからごめんなさいうまく言葉で説明できなくて隠し事なんてしたくないのけどなんて言っていいのか
ロズワールと合流してからってことだなネームの問題もなんか知ってるかもしれないしでも一人もいないぞ
あラムたちが戻ってないってこと
Huh.
そうみたいだな聖域の場所って知ってる
出てるんじゃないの
えここに来て今更なんだが聖域ってどういう場所なんだ
もうあんまりドアールは秘密基地みたいな
Well, he kept it a good secret if neither of you know where it is.
ちゃんと聞いておけば
I'm nervous.
避難を急いだとはいえうかつ旋盤だったのは俺の方だよこうなったら一旦屋敷だ手がかりがあるかもしれないしお前も一緒に来い
お屋敷に
ってビビるなっての
The red sky freaks me out.
Do you think that the letter was blank because Rem lost being?
ことが入ってない？
But that would have been way before the letter went blank.
Not necessarily, right? I don't know. I'll write it down.
パック目当てに飛び出すかもしれないしね。
パック？パック？反応がないみたい。寝ちゃったのかしら。お待ちくださいまし。お帰りなさい。お戻りになられるのをお待ちしておりました。
No.
ええ、私フレデリ
木箱は？
でお世話になっておりました。
Yeah.
Employed
saw the
here in the
plot.
past, but why are you here now?
I mean, there's an open spot, right?
屋敷に来る少し前に辞めたメイドがいた。
We saw her before.
心情の都合でおいとまをいただいていただけですわ。で、戻ってみればお屋敷はもぬけな様の執務室にあった手紙で状況は把握できましたけど、
ラムが呼び戻した理由って？
親庭木は荒れ果ててひどいありさまでした。
切実な理由だ。
テリカがいない間はずっとラムが頑張っていたはず。何日かだけ。
ラム一人じゃ屋敷を回せないから頼ったか。
Makes sense.
見覚えは多分ないよ。
マとラムが戻ったらどんな反応をされますかしら。
ロズワールは読めねえな。あんまり想像したくない。
She's like reading my
ねえ
mind.
フレデリカ、ロズワールから何か聞いてない？旦那様のお考えのすべてを知るすべはありません。それだけの信頼に値するのは
二人？
Betty has to be here, right?
屋敷の禁書庫の大青年様、
Betty! Go find Betty!
The Great Spirit.
ベアトリス様ですわ。
よーベアゴ
オリで屋敷が騒がしい。
Oh, what lovely reunion.
いいからちゃんと謝っておけよ。
誰にどうしてそんな必要があるのか理解に苦しむかしら。
肌水ズルズルで
One of my favorite bits in this entire series is Subaru being able to find Betty's library at any time.
たまには大声で泣きわめくのも悪くないぜ。
上でピースが泣いた男の言葉が眼蓄があると本題に入るかしら。この弱虫。
ロズワールの考えをどのくらい知ってたんだ？俺がロズワールの考えを聞かされてるって。
誰がそんな。できた半獣の娘と見立て。
Half Beast Girl.
確かに娘の見立ては少しだけ
A
正
bit
しい
of accuracy.
のつながりに今回のことは関係ないの。
一人でこの屋敷に残ったもないこの屋敷に。
自分の身ぐらい自分だからベティは残っこにロズワールは無関係も考えてなかったとはベティも思わないかしら。
注文みんなロズワールを会話相手に無策なはずがない。これを見てくれ。
Oh, damn.
よりによってお前がその本を。
買い取った戦利品だ。魔女卿。その首謀者からな。
持ち主は
死んだよ。殺したんだ。
よう置いていったのかしら。
You've left me.
ジュース。
誰だって？
Betelgeuse?
なんでもないのよ。お前が滞在司教を殺したなら魔女因子はどうな知らない。まさか本当に。
The witch. Is that
とした
the
らお前は何のた
sin?
めにタイダを殺したの。
野郎は聖域だよ。さっき言っただろ。その考えを聞きてんだよ。
お前の欲しがる答えは全部聖域にあるかしら。ロズワールの思惑も書の意味も
Roswell's tied to
何
the.
もかもそこにあるのよ。近ければ向かえばいい。書は半獣の娘が導いてくれるかしら。
Remember when Rem and Ram were splitting up, leaving the mansion, and they were talking about that place? Like, watch that place?
でもお前が
ベティは話さない。ない権利はベティにあるはずなのよ。
Holy shit.
答えに至る道は示した。入るのはやめるかしら。
ベアトリス。
のいい道具じゃないのよ。
なぜ僕が出てきたばかりのトイレ。
お前また。
Yeah.
とっととどいてくれません。
That was a nice cut there.
の禁書庫に立ち入れるんですのね。はい。ですが、エミリア様にスバル様尽くしていただいたので、でお待ちしておりましたの。
Tell me everything.
知ってたの？
Was Otto there to hear it?
のことは話したけど、
いえ、僕も一緒に見てましたけど、ないなって。
オットー君まで。
なんでお前聞いてなかった
To be a fly on the
ス
wall.
バルの前でなんて行き止まりになることのないように。スバルがベアトリスと会えても、あの子が質問に答えてくれ。スバルもベアトリスもすごく意地っ張りだから。
が可愛すぎる気がするけど、確かに。
ロズワールと話したいことがたくさんある。フレデリカにお願いしたの。聖域の場所を教えてって。
That's convenient.
場所は半獣の娘が導いてくれるに根負けしてしまいました。できるだけ口外し少しだけ準備にお時間をいただきたく、 日ほどでしょうか。
準備。ああ、
For the journey?
揃って屋敷を開けるんだ。
はできかねます。
で、一緒に来てくれないの？
察しが悪いですね、夏。
つまり聖域までオットーがフォローしてくれると接して、その後ろ盾のロズワールの印象を良くしようっていう魂胆で。
おっとくん、そうなの？エミリア様の重心の目
見え見えのお前の好感度は高いぜ。
と釈然としないんですが。
俺たち3人で聖域の話を聞くよ。
回りました。
Let's hear it.
話しますのはクレマルディの聖域の場所と
And how to
その
enter.
聖域に行くにあたってではならない
One name you must not
ガ
forget.
ーフィールという人物にください。
Garfile?
聖域におい注意して接しなければならないのがその人物です。
I don't.
ネーム、
I feel so
じゃあ行
weird.
ってくる。
Petra?
もういいの？
おう、新入り。ちゃんと制服着こなしてるな。
Did she get hired for while Ram's gone?
ちゃんとお別れ言えた？
ああ、そんなところだ。
That's so
向こう
sweet.
に長居するつもりはねえけど、できるだけレムのことを気にかけてやってくれるか、ペトラ。
わかりました、スバル様。
This is adorable.
She's probably so happy.
その年で親元離れる決断といい、偉すぎるぞ。
もう12歳だから。
She wants to show you she's a grown up. Come on.
大人です。スバル様もちゃんと大人として扱ってください。
英語マスターしてフレデリカに免許改伝がもらえたら考えるよ。
じゃなくて、はい。
本気で隠れられるとマジで厄介だったんだ。
Interesting.
ペトラも知ってるだろ。あいつのことも気にしてやってくれ。
ちょっとスバル様、私にお願いを。
It's a lot of people to take care of.
でもペトラしか頼れない。本当に申し訳ない。
まで言うなら任されてあげます。
マジで助かる。
This is awesome. I bet if they opened the door again a second time there, then Betty would be in there.
それとこれを、これがあれば森の結界を抜けて
Okay.
There's a barrier in the
お
forest.
教えした通りの場所に知龍が導いてくださるはず。場所と資格は揃えました。あとは
Qualifications.
The resolve and a strong will.
聖域をよろしくお願いします。それとお話ししたことを忘れずに。ガーフィールに
What the fuck?
I am so confused.
受け取ってくれますか？
Accept it.
に白いハンカチを渡して旅の最中に汚れたそれを最後に返す。旅の無事を祈る昔からの風習ですわよ。
ああ、そういうやつか。わかった。ありがとな、ペトラ。
Oh. Oh, stop.
なんで急にそんな反応？突然の反抗期に寂しい俺。
Subaru's so oblivious sometimes.
know.
It's so endearing.
He like flips between talking like her big
The
brother or
Lost
dad.
Forest of Clamaldi. That's a fucking name. She's wearing.
They're
oh
matching.
My God!
旦那様のお言いつけ通りに、あとはエミリア様が聖域を
Overcomes the sanctuary. This is a test. All they can do is pray.
僕のやつが顔を出さない。
Why is Puck? Oh, because Puck's not supposed to interfere too much with.
役のつながりは感じるんだけど、
前にもこんなことあった。
That was before the contract,
そう
though.
あることじゃないんだけど、リアのこと。
Yeah.
That was like him parting words to Subaru.
何かあるかもってのはフレデリカの忠告だからな。
ガーフィールよね。
ああ、ロズワールが何度かそいつに会いに行くみたいな話をしてたよな。
森に入りました。
I'm scared.
Me too.
この先に聖域があるのか。
Nervous.
エミリアタン、ひょっとして緊張してたりする？
なんでわかったの？
君のことなら何でもわかるって言いたいとこだけど、今のは誰でもわかるよ。
Voice acting's so good in this show, man.
もうすぐ聖域にアジン族だけの村に作っておこうと。
Only demi-humans live.
エミリアタンと同じ境遇のハーフエルフもいるかもしれないのか。大丈夫だ。俺が。
Are they passing through the barrier?
すげえ嫌な予感がする。エミリア借りるぞ。エミリア。
What?
That's a half elf.
あ、待て待ってくれ
You ever see a character that you just instantly love?
They were trying to transport just Amelia here?
I guess so. It's Sanctuary, assuming, right?
誰かいないか
Is it a sort of like mindscape?
誰か返事してくれ
Was this a test for her? She's the one that has to overcome it, but now he's going instead? Did he replace her in this test?
なるほど。それが君の欲の根幹か。なかなか興味深いことだね。おや、驚かせてしまったかな。人と話すのは
White hair?
久しぶりだからつい
Is that Satella?
僕の名前は
Oh,
エキドだ。強欲の魔女とそう名乗った方が通りがいいかな。
What the fuck?
What? We haven't even had him think about his past or his life. It's like it's a driving force to him. A motivator.
This has to be the bloodiest, I'm assuming, intro I've ever seen, right?
Mm-hmm. Betty's really heavy in this, actually. What the?
Okay, that was Rezero, Season 2, Episode 2.
What even did I just watch at the end there?
I don't... Okay. Weird to say because of the pain this show brings occasionally.
Okay.
A lot. I don't think I've, ever been this, excited.
Okay. Maybe it's conditioned us to, that the pain and the unease and the worry, is fueling, a different part of us now. Instead of being this pit of our stomach, horrible, sickening feeling, it's, motivating us in excitement. I don't know, because I feel extremely excited. I would say, especially with getting what I assume is the intro for next episode here at the end of this episode. What we, by the tone of it, the amount of blood that was in it, I can only assume that this is going to be as horrific, if not more gory and horrific, as events that took place in season 1. So to not have that same feeling that I had in season 1 of that sickening in your stomach unease, at least yet, obviously it hasn't really started, so it could totally change. At the moment, I just feel excited.
Yeah. I'm really excited. I'm kind of obviously I expect those things that you just listed in terms of feelings, but I think that it feels like we're really pulling back a layer of lore and a deeper step into territory that has been untouched for me in ReZero so far. And it's, I think, one of the things that interests me the most, the idea of the witches, the idea of the cult, the idea of who is Roswaal, what his motives are, and what even characters like Betty really are about.
Right. I wrote down that that kind of, obviously it was chicken scratch, it's not really any coherent notes, but it was to remind me to bring up Roswaal in the discussion in terms of how we used to so heavily try to discuss and debate whether Roswaal was bad or not. At least early on when we first met him, we're the color palette's similar to the witch's cult. We get him showing up to get Rem and Ram in a similar manner or time period that the witch's cult decimated their village.
Yeah.
And Ram lost her horn. So it's there's an overlap there. There's also a lot of mystery around Roswaal. There's his color and design. There's the fact that he kept kind of disappearing whenever something bad was about to happen. When the barrier first breaks or isn't working with the village and we have to go fight the mob beasts, like he, in one of the times that we redid it, was away visiting this person that we have to be wary of, Garfield, I'm going to assume. So when he's there, when he's not, his weird relationship with Ram that we can't quite put our finger on what exactly is happening there. Is he keeping Ram alive? We know that he's using a lot of his magic possibly toward Ram and doing something with Ram. This character that we have so many questions about, that we have so much to debate about internally, of whether this character, are they subverting our expectations, or is he going to meet what those previous expectations were in terms of like where he stands in terms of good, evil, in the middle. But what I wanted to bring up was the fact that in this episode, for the first time really, we get a bunch of characters spending a good amount of the episode talking about how they don't even actually know him.
Yeah.
And how really mysterious he is. Like, season 1, I think I had this idea that he was mysterious because we were new to this universe. But then with this episode, what they're telling us is like, no, he's actually mysterious, even to people who have known him for a lot longer than Subaru has.
Yeah.
And when we get with the OVAs, that idea that he sought out Amelia, that adds like another layer to it. He fought Puck. He sought out Amelia. We know that he has ulterior motives to wanting to support Amelia for the candidacy.
Mm-hmm.
Candidacy?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I blanking on how to pronounce that word? That happens sometimes. But just that idea that we start this season almost with like a confirmation that like, no, this character, there's definite question marks about them. Like, not even characters in universe have like a full grasp of who this person is, or how they are thinking, what they are doing, why they're doing what they're doing. And I think that is incredibly terrifying and incredibly interesting to kind of spend. I don't know if it was all me. You might have been doing it too. I spent a lot of season 1 convincing myself that they were just trying to trick me with any type of suspicion or questions
in regards to
Roswaal.
Roswaal?
Yes. I convinced myself pretty heavy to not read into anything that seemed like he might be not good or have ulterior motives that I didn't even realize.
I did not do that. I think that like it's almost like it was put on a shelf because of what they chose to prioritize in the story.
I mean, they're definitely like picking a different item off the shelf for what's happening right now.
But what I will say is they did a great job at like the idea of Roswaal and what his intentions are and why he intends to do the things that he has set into motion is such a massive, like, sparkly unknown that I only wanted to focus on. And they did an amazing job making me almost forget or like not think about it actively in terms of the series because of what they threw at us.
Well, you know what they did? How they were able to shelf it so in such a way that is so well written. How they were able to shelve it in our minds for us to like just completely like go on to the next thing and not even breathe another breath about Roswaal. There's question marks there. Is because what they did with our initial take of, oh, we're getting killed in the mansion by someone that has to be in the mansion. Ooh, and it doesn't end up to be Roswaal, and he doesn't know anything about it, and he's not getting Rem to do it.
Yeah.
Our like view, what we're focusing on, our attention span, like our attention is honed in then on Rem and Rem's reasoning for trying to kill Subaru all those times in the mansion, and the fact that Ram and Roswaal didn't have anything to do with it. And so we're like, oh, okay, yep, Roswaal didn't have anything to do with it. Shelf that.
Yeah, I'd agree with that.
And then any moment he came back, I was like, oh, well, he's not bad. No reason to be suspicious here.
Well, in my mind, it's just because, like, why would he, like, reveal... Okay, I am not 1,000% sold on one way or another in regards to my opinion of Roswaal, because I feel like there's just too much we don't know.
So many questions.
But in terms of suspicion, heavily suspicious and heavily... I have a massive desire of wanting to know what his reasons are, right? But I guess, like, he is obviously a character that has thought about whatever his goals are for so long that I would assume it'd be a hard point to get to that unveil or that reveal of what they are, because he's pretty calculated. He seems extremely calculated.
We even get lines about how, if this is Roswaal, that some characters, I think it might have been Subaru that said, someone said something along the lines of believing that Roswaal probably planned a lot of this.
Yeah.
And we know that Roswaal left this letter, or technically Ram left this letter for Frederica with detailed instructions of basically what to do when Amelia gets home.
Yeah.
But just this idea of our original ideas and sights of Roswaal being tied to the witch's cult, and then heightening our suspicion once again with him, mainly with language about the witch's cult.
Yeah.
In this episode, especially from Betty, like from the mouth of Betty. And now then what we get at the end of the episode. But even before we got the end of the episode, once Betty started talking about the witch's cult in any form of discussion other than just being like, good job, Subaru, for killing the sin of sloth.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't understand what's happening, and these red flags are going up.
I wonder what Betty's involvement or past was and is like. Like, it's almost like she left something behind. Like, she left a previous life behind. And if there is that chance that, because it's definitely on the table that Roswaal isn't inherently any type of evil, right?
I mean, characters can be all over the scale. Selfish reasons was an idea that was brought up in this episode.
If that's the idea, like, that's on the table still, then he could have taken some sort of part in potentially saving Betty, or at least, like, getting Betty out of a situation that she was in that wasn't necessarily a positive or healthy place to be in. Like, Betty, when she was on the verge of tears and then uses terms like, what was it? Geese or goose, I don't know.
Which was it how Betelgeuse was spelled.
Yeah, exactly. Then that, of course, makes me think that they used to have some contact with each other, or even, some relationship or knowledge at the very least. And if that's the case, what was that? What was Betty's previous life like? How traumatic was it that she doesn't even want to, like, she's like, I'm in control of what I can talk about. I can tell you what I don't feel comfortable talking about,
This could totally further why Betty is so connected to Puck and why Betty loves Puck so much. Because if we have this idea that Betty is somehow related to the witch's cult in some way, we have this idea that Puck is obviously purposefully related to Amelia, like to watch over her for some reason. Amelia is thought of by the witch's cult to be a future vessel for the witch. Betty and Puck are both greater spirits. We can assume probably that Satella had similar, spirit usage and powers and looks to Amelia, that Puck and Betty could have been greater spirits that were utilized by Satella.
Yeah.
Or at least knew her. I don't know. But I think that you have something going in terms of, like, bringing up this idea that possibly Betty was trying to get away from something, or is here in this setup of a forbidden library.
Do you think that it's to protect Betty?
So
She's like that, because like you can look at it one of two ways. It's very easy to be like, she's trapped in a library, or she's trapped in this mansion, like, because of this contract and stuff. But in a similar
excuse, I think it's a front.
Yeah, right. Like you can totally see it as like that's an easy way to look at it. But what it also is a massive point of defense.
I mean, I can think about a few other people that live in this mansion or have stayed in this mansion as almost being somewhat of a front of why they come to stay there.
Yeah.
I mean, Amelia's a guest because Roswell's the sponsor, but Roswell has ulterior motives to have Amelia there, and then Amelia has selfish reasons for being there, and then Subaru was like, I want to stay here, I'm just going to become a butler, but then he doesn't really work.
Yeah.
He's kind of been gone. And then, so to latch back onto that idea that maybe Betty is here for safety, in the episode we just watched, Subaru brings up, like, why didn't you go with Roswell? Like, what about your safety? And Betty's like, I don't need any protection. She gets, like, really upset, and she's like, I don't need protection. You know, like, I can protect myself. It's just very, very intriguing, and I don't even know where it's going, and I think that's most exciting. But also, I'm going to start rambling to ask you this question, because my mind is just going a bunch of different places. Why, if Roswell and Ram were going to a sanctuary that apparently is sketchy because we don't completely understand what it is or why they're going there, why take villagers with you?
Well, the main reason was for protection, right?
Yes, but you're not bringing them back. You know, like, I don't know, there's something weird about that. Like, to take these people, but then not, like, yeah, sure, for protection, but is that really the only place you could have gone for protection? Were you really going for your own protection, and taking the villagers there for protection as, like, a front?
Yeah.
Like, they had to split up the villagers, you know, for safety and for protection, and Roswell is the, like, person over these people, you know, he is the one ensuring their safety, and so maybe his whole position here as the person that is he a lord? I don't remember what word
sponsor?
They use. For Amelia he's a sponsor, but what is his, like, I can't even remember what his title is for, like, over the villagers. I don't know what words they use in this universe.
Yeah.
I'm blanking on that. But I'm a little sketched out that he would just also take these people. I find that concerning, is if you're not going to bring them back. And also, is this even a safe place for them to be? Or is it a safe place just for you to be?
So all of that lies within what Roswell's motive is here, which is an unknown. And we do know that it seems like it was intended, at least somewhat, for Amelia to come here, right?
Yes, Amelia was the one that was supposed to be wearing this pendant.
And it could be giving Amelia something if we're thinking that it's a positive. And for some reason, even though Rezero gives me every reason to think, like, horrifying thoughts, there is a slight feeling that I have that it is positive intention in terms of Roswell. Then it could be, like, not a test or something that is needed for her to, like, take things to the next step, or
right, like overcoming the sanctuary, like, pray that she will. It obviously has language written all over it of being some test of sorts, and what that parallels for me is at least what my possible theory of what the witch's intentions with Subaru were. Is a continuously testing of this person's spirit in order to achieve getting them to a certain place. We know that Puck was supposed to kind of help Amelia get to some type of place without overly interfering with her life. Subaru was randomly brought here and has the interactions with the witch that he does. And then Roswell with Amelia, I feel, in the overcoming the sanctuary, it's almost like, are they really a parallel? Overcoming
it, I think, could imply, like, growth, right? Like, and that being the intention behind it. So are we 100% sure Amelia isn't also in the sanctuary right now? Like, I can't decide if the reason that Amelia was unconscious was because during the transportation, during the, like, act of transportation, it was stopped by Subaru and that drained her somewhat, or if what it truthfully does is put your mind and your, like, being that isn't physical into the sanctuary.
Yeah, like, what if Subaru's body is actually still in the carriage
being driven straight by Otto?
Otto.
Yeah. Like, that's one thing that I'm not 1,000% confident on. Obviously we met at the
That
end
would
of
be a truly protective measure, though, to have your sanctuary on a plane that like real bodies can't even get to.
Yeah.
Like you have to be magically like have your soul lifted and whisked away there.
Yeah, I have massive love and questions of the story point of Echidna, the Witch of Greed.
Mhm.
So Satella, at first I was like, who the fuck? But Satella was the Witch of Envy, right?
Mm-hmm.
What are witches in this world? Like what, like, if there's only
Like
one,
plural,
like,
you know, like I didn't even have a concept of there being like really a plural
Yep.
of witch.
the idea of the witch factor too, like, which is just like a talent show that only witches are allowed to go on, or people can go on to try to audition and then be rewarded at the end if they're the champion. That instead of like $1 million, they're given $1 million, but instead of Vegas or something, they get to be a witch in the sanctuary. That's my interpretation of it so
Isn't
far.
that basically like the plot of Wizards of Waverly Place?
No spoilers. But so in regards to Echidna though, I am so fucking interested because it's like typically I would love to I love to speculate,
Mhm.
right? But I feel like I've been so thrown off kilter and like I'm off balance right now in the lore and understanding of what witches really are, and that okay, if there are several witches, was Satella blamed for everything that other witches did, or of all these other witches, they never caused such a bad name for themselves, but Satella did. She was one witch out of many who, you know, who did something so horrific. And then in the same way of thinking, I'm like, okay, you're the Witch of Greed, and the power of greed is one of the factors that got us to the place that we're at. Then I'm like, where does that lead us, you know?
And also, like, not only
Corneus, right? He's the greed guy. I don't
yeah,
know.
okay, so yeah, how I thought that the Sin archbishops were all followers directly just of Satella, the Witch of Envy.
Yeah.
So to have
This is
that
so
language
cool.
repeated of greed as a title,
Mhm.
I'm like, wouldn't you just assume that Greed, the Sin Archbishop of Greed, would be a follower of the Witch of Greed?
Dude.
So I'm a little confused in terms of that. Maybe it is a bunch of like sisters and they all need to be like reunited for some sake. And the Sin Archbishops follow all of them, all of the witches of all of the different sins.
I am so fucking excited, dude. I'm so into this idea and how to explore it. I want to know how spirits are involved in terms of witches. I want to know how and why Puck knew something was coming. The Watch Leah, right?
Mhm.
Like I want answers. Like I it's so interesting to me.
I feel like
Where does Puck go?
I don't know, but I feel like if he definitely could not have interfered here, in terms of going in place of Amelia, like how Subaru.
That was before the contract, though, right?
No, I know.
Okay.
I wasn't referencing that wordage to
Gotcha.
like bring up the contract. I was just meaning that physically he could not replace Amelia here.
Yeah,
Because he is
okay.
a spirit, and I don't think it would have gone over as well meeting the Witch of Greed like this if it was Puck meeting her.
Where are the spirits if they aren't present in world? Like, are they in their own type of sanctuary? Like, or like, is there like another like plane of existence that they're at?
Well, I don't know, because we do know that Puck also went and liked to like beat up people and scare people that were mean to Amelia.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he necessarily goes somewhere else. I think that is also another question of trying to figure out exactly what the sanctuary is and if it really is like on an earthly plane or if it is like a different dimension or, you know, especially with how Subaru gets whisked there.
Yeah.
We're in a very fake and artificial field, in my opinion, of like, I doubt this field really exists.
Like the Windows
That
XP.
she's sitting in right now with this random umbrella in the
Mhm.
middle of nowhere. I highly doubt this is like a real landscape. It's much more like a mind landscape.
Love her.
I know,
I adore
the
her.
design.
I love her. I also, the Lost Forest of Clamaldi, I need to go there. Like, that's a fucking fantastic name. Also, they must have had like a popularity poll in terms of like characters in this world before they produced or wrote season 2, because It was such a great decision to add Otto as much as they're adding him.
If you had been given a poll and been asked, you would have probably picked Otto.
It's not me. It's like everyone.
Everyone did.
So, the letter. I'm either a big fat idiot, or I think that it's because Rem disappeared. Like, so in episode...
timing doesn't link up at all
in
me.
episode 24 of season 1, we had the line of dialogue that the letter was my fault. That's what was presented on screen. But then later in the episode, when Felix is talking about it and referring to the plan to correct the mistake with the blank letter worked out, that makes me think that the letter was my fault, was dialogue used to patch a problem rather than to answer our question from it.
Right, no, I would agree with that.
And I think that the timing does add up. Maybe. Again, probably big fat idiot. But
it's a good reasoning
what
for
else would
how
it be?
The blank letter happened.
Unless we don't know.
So one of our theories at the time that we found out that the letter was blank was, well, duh, we're infiltrated by the witch's cult already. Like, we found that out, that there were merchants that were with us. Who did we send the letter with to go deliver
Otto.
it? You know, yeah, but was he with any other merchants? I think that the theory that trying to figure out if the timing links up with Rem is a really great kind of thing. And I honestly, you're right, it might link up. I think that it's kind of hard for my brain to see a timeline and where things fall. I wonder if anyone's ever made it, you know, where they're like, okay, so here's the timeline, here's what Subaru's doing, here's what everyone else is doing.
I think that it would be within that time. Like, it's not going to be like days that we have specific evidence for.
Right. This all happened in basically a day.
But it's obviously after the fact that Krush split up, I think, like, from them and Rem, and I think that could be it. I mean, who is going to have presence or authority to have a letter with meaning on it in terms of the mansion? There's only a handful of people, and Rem would be somebody who's trusted. Like, I'm not confident enough to be like, that's for sure it, but I think that, like, it's a pretty good guess for it.
I like it. I like the guess. I'm just not confident enough in understanding what happens in the timeline and how the two groups of people and their journeys actually link up.
Dude, the Petra moments this episode were absolutely heartwarming.
So cute.
I wanted to be happy, and guess what? I'm ecstatic. I'm over the moon. I am so excited to continue watching this. The only time that I felt a little bit of, like, despair and sadness, I couldn't even appreciate the goof of the bathroom Otto moment, because I was so, like, I felt so awful, like, about Betty, and like her, like,
how upset Betty was, how sad Betty was.
Before Subaru, like, identified her face as being close to crying, like, I felt that completely by the way that it was drawn. It was, man, I'm excited.
I wonder what this season has in store for us. One of my favorite things in terms of character design, I love when eyelashes are the same color as the hair. So, like, our Witch of Greed at the end, I don't know why, I just adore it so much. Like, when a character with, like, white silver hair has white silver eyelashes, I love that.
Mine's when characters have collars that go really high up on their face.
You know, that is a really great one. That's a great, like, I can think of a few characters off the top of my head that I like, and part of the reason is their design.
Speaking of characters, Frederica, right? Half Beast. What do you think?
Beast. What do I think of that?
Yeah, what do you think of her?
I think the teeth are cool.
Yeah?
Yeah, they explained it well to ease my confusion at the beginning of the episode with her being the one that opened the door. Because my immediate thought was, did we travel back in time? Did the mansion go back in time? How does that happen?
Wild.
Like, the whole mansion is actually a time traveling machine. Like, maybe it's because recently I've watched shows that talk about stuff like that, and that's why my mind went there. But when I first saw her, I was like, you're not supposed to be here. Something is very wrong. But then when she explained that Ram wrote to her and said she couldn't get any of her work done, The bushes look horrible. Look at the kitchen. It all made sense.
Just gotta watch out for Garfield.
Garfield.
Yeah.
Garfield.
I'm gonna say Garfield at the moment. I need to hear it.
Sounds
more
like a
when they
fallen
repeat it next time.
angel.
That's Gabriel Garfield. That's what I went with. But I gotta listen next time they bring it up.
It's Roswell's brother.
That's a guess.
I don't know. That's what I'm gonna go with for funsies.
All right, that's all I have you. I'm
Yeah.
so excited. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and we hope to see you next time.